Hello, everybody. This from Rainsville, Alabama, live. You have Kurt Lamon, myself, and we got John Wilburn here. John is going to be doing a demonstration, a live demonstration for you on the Flextex texture material. So yeah, we wanted to get started here. It's a little bit early, maybe wait a couple minutes before a few more people get into the room here for this live training. One of the benefits of live training is the fact that you can ask us live questions. So going through the presentation, if you have any questions at all, type it into the little chat box there. And then Megan, who's behind the camera over here, she will let us know if there's anything we can address during the presentation. And we'll also have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation too. So again, one of the great benefits of doing this live is that you can ask us questions live too. So again, if you don't know about Polyvance, Polyvance has been around since 1981, and our mission is to help people repair plastic. We manufacture an entire range of plastic repair and refinishing products, and one of our strengths is plastic welding, of course. In fact, the company was founded on the airless plastic welder back in the 1980s. And if you guys remember the yellow plastics on the bumpers back in those days, those were thermoset polyurethane. And it's funny, a lot of technicians now think that you can't repair that stuff. But I can tell you, we were sad to see it go away because it really is quite easy to repair. So we do training in shops all the time, all over the country on plastic repair, and doing those yellow plastics is one of the things that we teach people about. So we had the airless plastic welder, and in 2006, we introduced the nitrogen plastic welder, which is kind of our flagship model now. We introduced or pioneered that technology in the marketplace. And now a good number of shops across America have our nitrogen plastic welder. So plastic welding, again, is our kind of our forte, but we also have refinishing products like cleaners, adhesion promoters, and fillers, primers. And what we're going to show you today is our Flextex VT texture spray. This is really something we've had in our line for a long time, but with the part shortages now, it seems like a lot more shops are interested in actually repairing textured parts now. So that's what we want to show you today. Let's take a look here. We are going to switch over briefly to a little PowerPoint presentation so we can give you guys the agenda for today's presentation. The motivation for texture repair is, as you guys are well aware, parts availability is a real problem right now. And some of those parts that are holding your cars up from being delivered are textured plastic parts. So using the techniques we're going to show you today, you can repair and refinish successfully textured plastic parts. And of course, if you do that, you get a major cycle time reduction, especially if you're waiting for parts from the dealership. And that in turn reduces your length of rental. So lots of benefits there. We'll talk a little bit later about how you get paid to do textured plastic repair. And we believe that you can actually make more profit in some cases by doing the repair rather than replace. So we're going to talk about that. We talk about that first. The process for textured plastic repair. First of all, we'll go through a step-by-step thing to kind of introduce you to the steps involved. And then finally, John is going to do a live demo of the Flextex VT spray technique, which is really the thing that makes Flextex unique, is the spray technique. Everything else is pretty much standard refinish technique. So you'll really get the hang of it pretty quickly. At the end, we'll introduce you to some training resources that are available, and we'll again have the live Q&A session at the end. This is going to be the step-by-step process. So again, introducing John Wilburn. He's our training manager here, been doing plastic repairs for over 20 years in his career. And we're happy to have him here to share his great wealth of knowledge with you guys. So John, you want to take it through the step-by-step here?
Yes, thank you, Kurt. So right here we have some typical damage, not just on texture parts, but this is typical damage on plastic parts. But here on we're talking about Flextex today and retexturing finished parts. But this is typical damage. This is typical stuff that body shops are throwing parts away for here. When in actuality it can be repaired. Just going through the steps of how to prepare the part for texturing. Of course, you want to clean the part thoroughly, clean with soap and water, and then clean with a plastic cleaner if it's heavily soiled with, with grease and grime. Just make sure you clean that part thoroughly with soap and water, degreaser if necessary. As you know, detail shops like to put dressing on these textured parts to make them shiny again once they fade over the years. So cleaning the part, going the extra mile, cleaning the part with these cleaning these textured parts is very important. Again, because people like to put that dressing on them, and you want to get all of that off. Before you start sanding on the texture, you want to decide with your spray out cards, and we talk about that in the training that we offer, but you'll have spray out cards that you can use to determine your gun setup and your Flextex reduction. But you want to use your spray out cards and decide, match whichever card with the OEM texture, whichever one matches the closest. Then you'll know exactly how to set your gun up and reduce your Flextex material. Right here, we have a fine, medium, and coarse. These are the 3 textures that you can get with Flextex VT. We just have the fine, medium, and coarse on here, from fine to the extreme coarse, like bedliner grain. But you can go anywhere in between as well. You can go in between that fine and medium, and in between that medium and coarse grain texture there, all with your reduction and your fluid nozzle size. So repairing the textured plastic, once you get it repaired, and you repair textured plastic just as you would a painted bumper. The steps to doing that is the exact same. But once you get your repair done and you get your filler on it, your filler sanded down, you're going to feather your filler back and then sand and feather out back away from the actual damaged area. Use a red scuff pad to scuff out back away from the repair area. You can blend this texture. You do not have to retexture the whole part. Just say you've got a new part that got damaged in shipping, and you just want to repair that area that was damaged. You can also blend the texture, but in this case here, we're texturing the whole part. So you want to sand back with a red Scotch-Brite out back further from your repair area in preparation for your adhesion promoter. And here we are spraying the adhesion promoter. Now, we're not spraying adhesion promoter all over the whole part just yet, because we have to prime it and slick it down and get it ready for the Flextex. So right now we just want to spray adhesion promoter where we're going to spray primer, not necessarily on the filler, but anywhere that we're going to spray primer, we want to apply adhesion promoter. And as you can see, where we've sprayed so far, the shiny area, you can see that we didn't prime the whole thing. We just spot primed the damaged area, and then repeat that as many times, 2 or 3 times to get the part slicked down and ready for texture. This time we're going to go out a little bit further. We've got our repair area primed. It looks good. So now we're going to scuff out. If you were going to texture the whole thing, you would scuff the whole part with a red Scotch-Brite. But if you're blending it, you just scuff with a red Scotch-Brite out as far as you're going to blend the Flextex. Now, if you're texturing the whole part, you want to go ahead now and spray the whole part, not the primer, but spray all the raw plastic with adhesion promoter. Here we are mixing Flextex to get our proper grain size. The kit comes with a reducer that works very well with Flextex. We went through many reducers and narrowed it down to this particular one that works best with Flextex. And as Kurt mentioned before, all the variables in spraying this Flextex, it's all the same. All the variables are the same with painting, spraying base coat, clear coat, everything involved, your paint reduction, your fluid nozzle size, just all of those variables, your distance to work, all of that is the same, or all of those come into play. I shouldn't say they're the same. They all come into play, just like spraying, base coat, clear coat. But with Flextex, it's quite a bit different. especially with the spray technique. And you'll see that live firsthand here in just a minute. So applying it, you'll see that as we're applying this texture, you want to speckle the texture material on the part. You don't want to load it up really heavy with a wet coat. The texture appearance happens when you speckle the texture across the part, and you spray 3, 4, 5 coats of Flextex material on the part until you get your desired appearance. And there is the part after being textured right there. And you can match OEM texture. You can get 98, 99% close to OEM texture. Going back to talking about blending, the only way you can blend is if you can, match it to OEM grain texture, and you can do that. Now that takes a little more experience, getting used to the product. But the more you use it, the more confidence you're going to build in using it, and you will be able to blend on those parts if you do not want to texture the whole thing. But as you can see, the Flextex, that's a nice grain finish right there. You can also top coat it with, just say, not all textured parts are black. Flextex comes satin black out of the can, but you can top coat Flextex with base coat, whatever color, whatever desired color it needs to be. You can top coat and matte clear over it.
And while we're on that topic, John, why don't you show them this piece right here? We've got a sample that shows the actual one that's got color. It's got a base coat to match the gray color of the vehicle, and then it's got a matte clear on there too. It's kind
of course, the black is the Flextex just straight out of the can, the satin black. And then over here, we have the gray, over here, we have it top coated with gray and matte clear, and it looks really good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we're going to break over to do a live demo of the actual spray technique. So John will get all ready over here.
Let's get suited up.
Yeah, he's going to get suited up, get his respirator on and the gun ready. So again, the part that he's doing has already been prepared all the way to sanded primer. So we're just going to show you the special spray technique involved with spraying the Flextex VT. Like John said, the process to get to this point is very much the same as you would use for any repair, plastic or even metal repair. You want to get the damage, in this case, welded, filled, sanded smooth, primed, and in this case, you're doing a texture on this entire part, right? This is all over texture.
This is an all over texture.
Okay,
yes, sir.
So this one's gonna, again, like John mentioned, it is possible to blend the texture, and or you can spray to a body line, something like that. We did a Honda Element recently here at the company that had just a damage in one certain area. So we did the texture in that area, and then when we did the base coat and the matte clear, we sprayed the whole bumper, so it looks very uniform. John's going to be using what kind of medium grain there, John, or a fine?
Yeah, but actually between a fine and medium grain, this is a 3-to-1 reduction.
3-to-1 reduction on the Flextex. He'll be using a 3M PPS2 gun to do this with a 1.4 fluid nozzle. So very common setup. You just normally you'd spray it with a 1.4 nozzle to get a medium or fine grain. And if you want to get a heavy grain, like a bedliner type, you want to go pretty much straight out of the can with like a primer gun, 1.8 or 2.0 nozzle. And you want to get that droplet size for the paint should match the texture size that you want. So
talking about the variables again, I want to show you all right here. As you can see, we've got the airflow set at about 10 psi. Again, this is a 3-to-1 mix ratio, and we're going to go ahead and lay the first coat down. After laying your first coat down, you want to let that flash for about a minute. Because if you lay a second coat on top of your first, those speckles, when they hit each other, they'll splatter out, and then you're just kind of working against what you're trying to do. You're trying to build some texture grain, and if they hit and splatter, then it's just going to flow out. So letting it flash, and it doesn't take long. Flextex dries fairly quickly, so about a minute in between coats, and we'll go ahead and lay that first coat.
All right, I hope you guys saw how far John was holding the gun back from the work, probably at least 24 inches and maybe more.
Yeah, yeah, and depending on your grain size and everything, or the sheen, just somewhere between somewhere around 18 to 24 inches away from the part, and with about a 10% overlap. You really don't want to overlap at 50%. That's not necessary. That can cause it to build up, as we were talking about before, and work against you. But just a 10% overlap over coats is what you're looking for. And again, it dries fairly fast. And we'll give that just a few more seconds here, and go ahead and spray the second coat. And you can use this Flextex for rocker panels, chip guard, all of that. Just any textured parts, really, you can duplicate that OEM finish.
Let me mention too, while we're waiting for that to dry, the material is a 1K material, so what you don't use, you can pour back in the can. It's not going to catalyze on you. And I think the biggest advantage to the Flextex as opposed to a rattle can is it gives you complete control over the size of the grain. It is a little less convenient than a rattle can, but the benefits you get, I think, far outweigh the convenience of a rattle can. You really can control that appearance.
I hear that a lot when I go into body shops too, that right there. And especially being able to, being that it's a 1K product, being able to save what you don't use. If you accidentally mix up a little too much, you don't want to pour it back in your original can, because that's reduced already. But you can, put it in another can, and, write on the can what the reduction is on it, and use it next time. We'll go ahead and lay our second coat down. And while that's drying, I'm going to top my gun off here with a little more Flextex.
Yeah, you can really see the texture starting to build up and look really nice now. Only 2 coats, and we normally recommend at least 3 coats, but you can go more than that, of course. But yeah, the appearance, I'd say, is really getting there to a nice OEM textured appearance.
And this is a very forgiving product as well. So if the appearance doesn't turn out quite like you want it to, just you know, you're just an inexperienced tech using it, you can let it dry. Again, it dries very fast. Scuff it with a fine Scotch-Brite and just go right over the top of the Flextex, and you know, just kind of start over with what you have.
We get some feedback occasionally from shops that say, hey, it looks a little too glossy. And I think, you know, I really probably need to watch them applying it, but it seems like when it's too glossy, you're probably getting the gun too close and or landing on, and it's flowing out somewhat. So as you really could see from John's technique, he had that gun way out between 2 and 3 feet even away from the surface to really speckle that stuff on kind of finely. And I think it helps to have patience. You're not going to get a textured appearance in 1 coat. You need to build it up. But as John was saying, it flashes quickly, so you can lay down 3 coats pretty quickly.
Right. All right. And if you notice, I kept the same distance while moving across the part. What you don't want to do is start at 18 inches and then move back to 24, or start at 18 and move in, you know, any closer. That will change the appearance of the texture. It'll make it glossier in some places and dull in some places. So wherever you start, whatever distance to work you start at, try to keep that same distance around the whole part and from coat to coat.
Yeah, this is looking really nice and uniform now, John. I'd say 3 coats on this thing. I don't know if you want to add any more, but to me, that looks really good.
I don't think so. No, that
Just get a little close up here so you guys can see. And this gives you a nice satin black textured appearance. It is it's a lacquer-based paint, UV protection built in, so it actually will not fade like the original plastic would. If the black appearance is what you want, then you can put that back on the car just as it is. Again, if you need to color match it, all you need to do is hit the base coat and a matte clear, and you'll be all done.
Yep, that actually looks really good. And that will that'll actually flatten out a little bit more as it dries. We've got 3 coats on there, and say 30 minutes without even baking it. In about 30 minutes, that'll be dry to the touch, and it will be a little bit flatter once it dries out.
All right. Thank you, John, for the step-by-step on that.
Yes, sir.
So again, we're live here, and We got several people on the call. So far, no questions. If you do have any questions, please type them into the chat box and we can answer them as we go along here. Otherwise, we'll have a Q&A session at the very end. But just to reiterate what we just discussed, the Flextex is a natural satin black coming out of the can. If it looks a little glossy, it's probably because you sprayed it on a little too heavy and it flowed out. So again, the spray technique is really important. So practice that. The UV protection is built in, so it won't fade like the original. And again, if you want a color other than black, you'll need to spray with base coat and a matte clear. And finally, because the Flextex is 1K, if you want solvent and or gasoline resistance, it is best to top coat it with a 2K matte clear. How to get started. We'll introduce you here in just a minute to some of the products in the line, but you want to get a kit at least of the Flextex and the reducer. And you want to start with some parts that are on back order or not available. If you're dealing with an insurance company, especially if they're waiting on parts and if they're paying for rentals, they are going to be very open to negotiating to do more hours to do the repair. And in some cases, you can actually charge more than the replacement cost of the part. We have some shops I know of that are doing that because their pitch is, hey, we can get this thing fixed and get the thing out today, and it saves the insurance company on the rental. Also, you can ask the adjuster for an hour to just attempt the repair to do the refinish. If it doesn't work out, then you can order a part. You haven't lost a lot of time. And finally, once you start using it, just like John showed you, you'll gain confidence in the way it looks, and then you'll be able to do more textured plastic refinishing. Some of the products and resources that we have a Flextex info sheet with a standard operating procedure on the back, step-by-step, that kind of goes over what we did. We also have some YouTube videos that show you the whole process, kind of like we just showed you here, but it'll actually also show the repair and the primer and the sanding back and all that, the feathering. So that's all included in our YouTube videos. We do currently have a 15% off promo on our on the kits, the Flextex kits. So it's a nice way to get into it and try it out without breaking the bank. And finally, we recently got a ICAR approval on our texture refinishing course, which is a hands-on course that we deliver in your shop that's instructor-led. Includes a pre-test, a post-test, and every technician's got to get their hands on it and try it out. So it's a really good way to make sure that people are using the proper spray technique when they do that. And there's also 1 hour of ICAR credit included in that under the Industry Training Alliance. So if you want to take action and start refinishing some damaged textured parts, please give us a call or an email and ask for the Flextex VT info sheet and standard operating procedure. That'll get something going for you there. And then ask your jobber to order some of this product for you so you can start to play around with it. You may even want to try working on it initially with some scrap parts. And like John said, you might want to also make some gun setup or setup spray out cards so that in the future, the gun setup will be easier for you. But yeah, just get started. I think the painters will get the hang of it pretty quick. Again, the big thing you're fighting is the spray technique where it's not like a clear coat where you're trying to keep a wet edge and flow it out. You want to speckle it on there. All right, we'll go to Q&A session here. So we've got, again, let me just show you real quick. This is the Flextex kit. It comes in a box with a quart of the paint of the Flextex texture material paint. And also it comes with a quart of the reducer. We have this in a national rule format like this, or the 3804 KZ, with Z means zero. We also have a zero VOC product as well. Or I should say compliant. It's not zero VOC. It is solvent based. The reducer is zero VOC. The paint is compliant in California. So that is the main product we've got there. And again, this is the info sheet. So this will show you the product details. And on the backside shows you the step-by-step procedure we just discussed. So between these resources and just getting the product in your hands and trying it out, I think that's the best thing to do. But we're here live and love to answer any questions you might have now. Is there anything at all, Megan? where can we? Okay. Okay, well, it seems like we covered all the things so well that nobody has any questions. So we're happy about that. We are going to post this up on YouTube. Is that right? So if you weren't able to catch this in entirety, or if you have other team members you want to share it with, please inquire. We'll send you a link. I think all the people that signed up for the class will get the link so that we can show it later on. Finally, if you have any technical questions, feel free to type in email to us at info@polyvance.com, info@polyvance.com, or just call our toll-free number. We are available weekdays from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. We'll have a human being answer the phone every time, and we pride ourselves on being able to answer your technical questions within 15 seconds once you get somebody on the phone. So we really do want to help you out. Again, our mission is to help people repair plastic. That's all we do. And we are here for you. So John, any last words?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all.
Okay, good deal. Well, we'll let you guys get back to work. Thank you for your attention, and let's repair more plastic.